the DJ.
Hey, check this out. We got a great show coming your way.
From the ECSI Sports Studios, the #1 sports information program in America, the Breakfast Bankroll, with your host, the sports broker, Jeff Dawson.
Good morning, sports fans from all around the globe. I am your host, Jeff Dawson, East Coast Sports Investors, and this is your Breakfast Bankroll for Tuesday, January 17th, 2023. I emphasize 17th. 2 weeks left of January. I mean, where the hell does the time go? It's just amazing. 2 weeks till Massachusetts launches. Big day there, big day. And I know all the naysayers back there. Oh, I hope they don't screw it up. Oh, I hope they don't. Guys, it's done. It's over. It's happening. It's that time of the week where we go over the Sagamore, down Route 3, on to 93. We get to catch up with good friend and colleague, Content King, I call him, Julian Edlow of DraftKings Sportsbook DK Live, where we get to catch up on some locals, some props, some futures. Is it time to send the goat to pasture? Probably have some good stuff to say. Without further ado, let's bring him in, the one and only Mr. Julian Edlow.
I will take the no on Tom Brady retirement. He's at 45, though, right? The age was always, I want to play till I'm 45. I want to play till I'm 45. Now he's 45. And he also, is that the game you want to go out on? That's some of the worst we've seen Brady play. He didn't get help, but like some of those plays, it didn't even look like him. Like he's rolling out of the pocket, but throwing these balls into the dirt. I don't think he wants to go out on that game. And then also, I don't know, you retired. He obviously retired because of pressure from the family. Are you going to go through that divorce to come back and go 8-9 and get blown out in the playoffs? Like, seems like that you probably want a little more meat on the bone if you're going to go through what you went through personally to maintain your football career.
So many ways to start here, and even before I break down that game, they weren't good all year, and he showed flashes. You can actually bring up the numbers. Look how many passing yards he threw for. He didn't have a good offensive line.
66 attempts.
He didn't have a good offensive line. They couldn't run the ball. I mean, the list is endless. So when we start peeking, Julian, to potential landing spots, the Hollywood ending is him and Bill kiss and make up. He comes back here, signs a 2-year deal, plays for 2 years, and they go off, holding hands, singing Kumbaya. He wants to win, okay? So I don't know if the Patriots are that team. So the easiest spot I can say, obviously, is Vegas. The reunion with Josh McDaniels. He has Devontae Adams, Hunter Renfrow, Darren Waller. I don't think Josh Jacobs will be back there. Those are the pros. He supposedly, during his first free agency, actually bought some land or a home or whatever there. Great landing spot for TB12, the brand, all the conferences that they have. He can be the next Tony Robbins, yada, yada, yada. Okay? Makes too much sense. So today, Tuesday, the 17th at 10:43, if Julian Edlow was setting the odds and the top 3 teams landing spot and odds, where you going?
Well, first of all, I'll cheat because this morning DraftKings Sportsbook did post odds on Tom Brady's next team. And I will say that there's tremendous value on the board because I know one place he's not going, and that's Tampa Bay. Correct. He signed off at the end of his press conference last night. He's done there. Tampa Bay happens to be a plus 200 favorite on the board right now. That means the rest of the board is all good numbers. because you have someone eating up that plus 200 at the top. Now I would draw the line at plus 1,500 Tennessee as the last possible realistic option. Below, like teams below that are plus 1,800 Seahawks, plus 200 Commanders. That's not going to happen.
No.
So you can go from Tennessee plus 1,500 and up. But there's two teams up there, two of the top four favorites that he's not going to. Tampa plus 200 and New England plus 750. Those aren't happening. So Vegas is plus 250. I would certainly make them the favorite. He was supposed to go to Vegas with Gronk last time. We know that got out. Didn't work out. Now Vegas is an option again, and Josh McDaniels is there on top of it. You have Devontae Adams. You have all the pieces on offense. It's, maybe you have Waller. Maybe you attract another receiver by going there, but really you just need to tighten up the defense a little bit. But if Tom Brady's there, they'll probably attract a couple of pieces to create a Super Bowl that could win. A defense that could win a Super Bowl. So Vegas has to be the favorite in my mind, and then it gets a little murkier after that. San Francisco is the hometown one that's always made sense, but now they have Brock Purdy and Trey Lance. I don't know why that would work out. Not to mention, the farther you go out west, Vegas is out there, but the farther you go out west, the farther you get away from where he wants to be. And the Dolphins at plus 750, I think, are a really good bet. The Dolphins were right in the mix last time. There was tampering involved. It didn't happen. Tua kind of gets in the way, and I think that helps misprice this now because we're no longer sure that Tua's the guy because of the concussion issues. So if you bring in Brady for a year or two, what does that do to Tua? It probably ends his time there in Miami, but they might not be confident that he's their guy now for the long haul anyway. So Miami would be second for me. Oh, man. Third, like on DraftKings, we have both of the New York teams at plus 900. If you asked this at the beginning of the year, it was clearly the Giants that he would go to. If you ask now, Giants are set. They've got something good going. Daniel Jones is playing well, and it's the Jets that Zach Wilson, number 2 overall pick, hey, whatever, he's not the guy. The Jets would now be the guy, the team, and they have a really good defense in place already. So if Brady kind of gets control of the offense, they would make sense. So it would either be the Jets or Titans at third for me. So let's call it Vegas, Miami, and then Jets/Titans.
And you bring up so many good points. I've been trying to explain to people, Shanahan had an option when he was in his free agency, his first tour of free agency. And he's like, no, we're all set. It's the system. We don't need Tom. And you talked about the Brock Star and Trey Lance and Jimmy G going to free agency. And that frees up so much money for the 49ers at the quarterback spot. If they got to go re-sign Christian McCaffrey or one of their stars, they're all set.
The Niners are in a perfect spot to pay Brock Purdy nothing for a few years and build an annual contender around.
Correct. I was trying to leak Tom to Sean Payton. Now, what happened over this past weekend, I think the Miami situation, listen, they played their ass off. I did not see that coming. I think he's safe. Look at Mike McCarthy, what they did last night. Mike is safe. Okay. So now we basically, Staley could go from San Diego. That's a perfect landing spot for Sean Payton. They already have a quarterback. Denver, they have Russell. So as you just said and pointed it out perfectly, there's only so many landing spots. And I tell you what, Julian, I would not discount the Titans, meaning the Vrabel thing there, I think is real. And they desperately need a quarterback. Their O-line's not the greatest as well. They don't have a ton of weapons either. So again, wherever Tom goes, they're going to be adding pieces. Coming back to New England is a pipe dream. I keep saying this, and I don't know if you have it up there. And if you don't, maybe this is my one wish in 2023. Can you get me some odds on Jimmy G coming back to New England? I like that angle.
we'll be adding, more and more as guys become available. There's 3 next team markets right now. It's Brady, DeAndre Hopkins, and Derek Carr up on DK Sportsbook. But more will come up, especially when guys, well, I guess Brady's not clearly out anywhere. The team that he's on is the favorite, but that's why we say every show, if you want something posted, ask me. I'll ask our traders today. I'll see if we can get some Jimmy G next team posted. Worst that happens is they say no.
Use promo code #ECSI, and I'll give you where I think he's going. How's that sounds? But weekend, Super Wild Card weekend. I guess I was going to lead by saying we didn't see anything too crazy, but obviously the Chargers up 27-0. Some had a bright idea to put $1.4 million on the Chargers at 27-0 to collect $11,000. And as I've asked a few people, I'll ask you, if you were a multi-millionaire and you had a big bankroll, what the hell is $11,000? I mean, that's our dinner tab upstairs at where you call it, the Chinese food place at Circa.
So I remain very open and always answer as many questions and give you as many looks behind the book as possible. I'm not going to be commenting on this one.
Okay. All right. I understand that. Trust me, because the funny part is I talk about it all the time. I talk about the promoting. I talk about the Photoshops. I talk all about that. And you know what? I'll end my subject right there on that one as well, because I understand, and I'm going to just move on to another subject. Let me talk about the Dallas game for a second. And my 2 best plays, as you know, over the weekend in football, I love the over in the Minnesota Giant game. I thought that would be a track meet. And the second one was Dallas. I said the money line. I said it on all our shows. I was with Pep on Friday night. That was my 2 best plays. And people, I'm not trying to be Monday morning quarterback. I was just trying to explain my thought process. Tom Brady 7-0 against Dallas. Dak and Dallas road woes in the playoffs. Tom 2-0 as a Buck quarterback against Dallas. Both favorites this year, favorites at Dallas. Dallas looked so bad the last 4, 5, 6 weeks. Yet they were opening 3-point favorites. Did you, as much as a lot of people are Tom fans and stuff, did you see this coming, or were you just on the side? I want to see Tom move on.
I didn't think it was necessarily hard to see Dallas winning. I didn't necessarily see it quite as much of a blowout, because the one factor, I get that Tampa had the bad season. I thought that Dallas was going to look worse. Dallas had a really bad 5-week stretch of almost losing to the Texans at home, blowing a lead in Jacksonville. They got practically a bye where they didn't look anything special against all the Tennessee practice squad. I'm missing another. They lost another one in there. Washington ended the season. Dak was 14 of 37. And when that game kicked off, they had something to play for. There's another one in there with those 5, though. It doesn't matter. They didn't look good over the last 5 weeks. Dak Prescott led the league in interceptions. He missed 5 games. He threw 8 over that 5-game span. I was not convinced that Dallas was in a good spot to go on the road and win a playoff game, and they were. So, and it had a lot to do with how bad Tampa was. I overlooked how poor Tampa really was during the regular season. So with that, I'm kind of taking that and saying, okay, if Dallas won that game that convincingly because Tampa's that bad, I'll go against Dallas next week in San Francisco, laying the 4 with San Francisco. This is going to be the 4th road game in a row for Dallas, and they're going to get the short week coming off the Monday night primetime game. 4 road games in a row, short week, 2nd playoff road game in a row, going to San Francisco, who can run all over them, who did run all over them last year with that defense. And Brock Purdy's going to come back to reality at some point. but San Francisco does such a good job of not allowing that to happen because they don't put them in situations to do much wrong. So I've kind of convinced myself from what I saw last night that I like the Niners next week. I was expecting that number to be more of a 5.5, 6, which you might say scares you, but I'm trusting myself here.
And I'm going to further this up because you're 100% spot on. Again, I'm an opening number. I'm a trust and respect the opening number. Vegas is trying to tell us a story, or DraftKings is trying to tell us a story. It's our job to create the happy ending and obviously cash that ticket. So I'll play devil's advocate. You just nailed everything. Dallas, road woes, short week. Traveling now to San Fran. And let me backtrack, because last Tuesday you guys put up some numbers that were eye-opening. Eagles plus 170, San Fran plus 180 to win the NFC. Dallas was only plus 500. I went on every show, Julian. I'm like, guys, just beware here. Sprinkle a little something on Dallas. I know everyone's got San Fran or Philly in the championship. Trust me on that. Just respect this number. So you just nailed it. San Fran didn't open -6. San Fran didn't open -5.5. San Fran didn't even open -5. They opened it at 3.5. There's only one way that number can go at 3.5, and that's to 4 and 4.5. Surprised at the opening number.
I was very surprised. I was surprised. I just thought it was too much respect for the Cowboys, and I know that they've had good stints during the season. I just don't think it's a good spot for them, in my opinion. And you're probably right that there was value on them to win the conference. My main takeaway, and the reason that I really like the Niners, but the reason I didn't bet them coming into the playoffs when they were 10 cents or so behind the Eagles in the conference odds, is because of the scenario that we're looking at now. The Eagles are now 7.5 point home favorites, and the Niners are 3.5 point home favorites. And if both favorites win, it's the Niners that have to go on the road to the Eagles. So I don't know why you would have like the same price on those two teams. They're saying the Eagles have a much easier path. So the conference price doesn't make all that much sense to bet on San Francisco, really. But I am going to trust San Francisco in this spot. Dallas run defense looked good last night against Tampa. I don't think it's going to look nearly as good against San Francisco, and it wasn't all that good by the regular season numbers. So this is one of those ones on Monday morning that you could be waking up saying like, that 3.5 open, they got me, they tricked me. I'm laying it. I have laid the 3.5 with the Niners. I haven't had a chance to write an article or put it out, and it's 4 right now on DraftKings Sportsbook. So that's what it'll be in my article. But yeah, this is Niners for me.
As you were talking, our good friends at Circa who are listening, good morning, Jeffrey and Mr. Metcalf, Mr. Benson, opened up 49ers -2.5, -125 first half. Any take there?
Niners are a great first half team. I think I've seen threes. I haven't really looked at first half lines much yet. The number there kind of tells you a lot. If it's going to be like first half -3, full game -4. We're expecting a strong start from San Francisco. It's like I mentioned, a tougher spot from Dallas on that 4th road game, short week. San Francisco's just kicking back at home after a pretty comfortable win. I feel like this just furthers my belief in the Niners. If books are telling us that San Francisco is expected to get off to a stronger start, I like them more for the game because that's how they're built. Defense, they got the guys off the edge, Bosa, and you got guys to run the ball. I think that if you're telling me that San Francisco is going to get off to a stronger start, they're one of the least likely teams to do what the Chargers did and blow a game like that and be able to maintain their lead.
Last question, then we'll move on, Jules. We haven't seen the brain fart, the hiccup from the Brock Star. And the 49ers have not lost a game since the McCaffrey trade. Again, just getting stronger and stronger week by week. I mean, that Deebo Samuel, it's just like probably one of my favorite guys, if not my favorite guy in the NFL, especially for fantasy. He's got that other gear. There's guys that touchdown down the sideline. The guy's right there, and then he like kicks it into overdrive, and it's like waving goodbye, you know. The hiccup, the brain fart. We haven't seen this, Mr. Irrelevant, the last guy chosen. No fear whatsoever. I mean, this Dallas defense was the number one defense for at least half of the year. It looks like Mr. Parsons got a little, let's say, road worry, kind of hit the wall. Couple injuries in the back end, and the San Fran defense has just taken over from there. You talked about Bosa and company. In the back of your mind, is the hiccup coming, or is this just like a fairy tale story here?
Well, maybe bettors think it is coming because I went to check the half line. We are still 2.5 on DraftKings Sportsbook, and the game is ticked down from 4 to 3.5. So this might not be one that we just see go 4, 4.5, 5. It's coming back down. So at least for now, until it bounces back to 4. So bettors are going to trust that it is coming and say that it's coming against, a Dallas defense. You got Micah Parsons there to kind of disrupt things. It would be probably a guy like that would make Purdy feel uncomfortable. But he seems pretty confident. Last week it was against a softer Seattle defense, though. Dallas will make it a little bit tougher. I think they would make it tougher on him up front, though, with that pass rush, because the secondary hasn't been all that good. I'm not a huge fan of the Dallas secondary. So I think that they kind of have to beat him the same way that they beat Brady, and then that's putting pressure on him. I just think what San Francisco has done is done such a good job of knowing when that's going to come that they're almost just preventing that situation. So I like Shanahan more than McCarthy as a coach, and I'll trust that he'll be able to limit the opportunities for Purdy to make mistakes, particularly in a spot that, is he going to be as comfortable as he was at home against Seattle? No, but he's still at home. And just, I think that does something for their confidence to be at home for a game like this.
I have to at least mention this because I hope I get a smile on your face. Not 1, not 2, not 3, 4 missed extra points last night by Brett Maher.
The game last night had 7 touchdowns, but didn't go over 45.5, correct? Which is almost mathematically impossible.
Correct.
But happened. So, and then Evans, obviously there was a chance to make good for over bettors, and Evans drops the deep ball late in the game. That was sneaky. I don't know if it's being talked about enough. I haven't been on Twitter too much this morning, or at least browsing Twitter. I've seen some people mention it. That was sneaky, one of the worst beats you could have on not cashing an over ticket. And, I didn't even include, like, if I'm betting San Fran next week, are we not worried about this kicker on the road? Are they going to make a move? I don't know. Didn't sound like it. So, like, once you get into that stadium and road game, every time he lines up for a kick, extra point, or field goal, the crowd is going to be going nuts to get in his head.
It was, I sent a tweet last night, the replacements of their field goal kicker, because, after the first one, okay, fine. After the second one, I start saying something. When he missed the third one, I put out on the tweet with that picture of the replacements kicker. I'm like, did Mayer take the Bucks plus the 2.5 here? Something's wrong. I mean, I know they said he had the yips. It looked like me, trying to get off the first tee. I mean, that's me in a nutshell. But the guy had been money all year, and it was kind of comical there. The other 3 games, I'll just quickly go over. KC right now, 8.5 with a 53 against the Jags. The Philly is now 7.5 with a 48 against the Giants. Cincinnati Buffalo, probably most will say the best game. Opened at 4, now 4.5 with a 48. I do see 5s on the board there, Jules. anything pop out at you early this week as we get close? We still got a handful of days before Saturday and Sunday.
Yeah. So obviously everybody's going to tease Kansas City and Philly on Saturday. KC down to 2.5, Philly down to 1.5. I trust it with KC. I would go down to 2.5 there. I think, back-to-back essentially playoff home wins for Jacksonville. Now you got to go on the road to Arrowhead, pissed off about collapsing against the Bengals last year, coming off the bye. It's too good of a spot for the Chiefs against a team that Doug Peterson coaching last week was fantastic. Like we complain about the coaching in the NFL all the time, and he put his team in a position to win from a really tough spot. I don't even know if the Chargers was that bad of a beat last week. If you had Chargers money line or -2.5 or whatever, they got lucky with the 4 random first half interceptions. And then Jacksonville won the game without even forcing turnovers. They just kind of did their thing steadily and won the game, and the Chargers just went away. Really weird way to have that type of comeback happen. So I feel like Jacksonville now is just going into a situation that they're going to be in over their heads. A good learning situation for next year for a guy like Trevor Lawrence. The Giants-Eagles one concerns me a little bit because this number should be more like a 9.5, 10 if we knew Jalen Hurts was completely healthy. We don't know. His only game in the last month is against the Giants' second and third stringers. And now they're going to see them again. Philly should win the game at home. Daboll coached Hurts at Alabama, knows him really well. Divisional for the third time. We just saw, how a dinged-up Baltimore team kept up with Cincy. A dinged-up Miami team kept up with Buffalo. This one scares me a little bit more. And you're right. Bills-Chiefs or Bills-Bengals should be the game of the weekend. Especially, the anticipation, since we kind of got a sneak peek at the game. And then for obvious reasons, we didn't get to see the rest. Now we get it in the postseason in Buffalo. I would, early look. The only thing I've bet so far is laying the 3.5 with San Francisco. I would look at teasing Kansas City down to 2.5 and taking Cincy up to the +11, anything +10.5 or better. The Bills haven't been putting teams away. Bills very well might win, but if you're telling me we just have to keep this to 10 or better with the Bengals, I'm good with it. People will tell you the dinged up O-line. They went to the Super Bowl last year with a dinged up O-line. They know how to do this.
All right. I mean, we got a couple extra minutes today, so I don't feel as pressured
I'm good.
Okay.
Let's roll.
Let's stick to football for one more second here. The local season over, non-playoffs. There's going to be a lot of talk, the extension to Mayo. We're looking at OCs. I don't know what title Mayo's going to have. That's just the Patriot way, obviously. We talked about Kingsbury, who's in Thailand somewhere. We're talking about Bill O'Brien. Give me the Julian Edlow year review, what you would do if you were Bill or Bob, what you would like to see them do moving forward.
I would like to see a little more talent on the roster. Are they ever going to get that wide receiver one? I would like somebody like that. Clean up the offensive line a little bit, whether it be through free agency and or the draft. If you're going to put Cole Strange give him a first round grade and that's your guy, then honestly, maybe he doesn't work out, but I don't have a problem with it. Just like get your guys at the position of needs. I'm not going to pretend like I know how to grade offensive linemen coming out in a draft, but get guys at your positions of need. But the big main overarching thing is the players aren't in position to succeed because your coaches aren't in positions to succeed. Get Matt Patricia off the offense. The special teams, you could have had a shot at being that 7 seed. Now I think you would have gotten smoked, but you could have had a shot of being that 7 seed if you don't give up 2 special team returns to Hines in the season finale. But your pieces are there. Put Patricia wherever you feel comfortable, whether it be defensively or front office, whatever. Put him wherever you want to put him. Put Joe Judge on special teams because that's where he's had success, not with quarterbacks, not with Daniel Joneses and Mac Jones And find an offensive coordinator. My pick would be Bill O'Brien. If you can get him, get him. If you can't, it sounds like Kingsbury is just going to let those paychecks cash and go on vacation. Good for him. Find your next guy after O'Brien. And if O'Brien's not your guy, then set your list and go talk to the top guy, because you need a guy to run your offense and put Mac Jones in position to succeed, because we saw that he can succeed in his rookie year. What happened this year didn't work. And we're seeing guys all across the league. The example right now being a Daniel Jones. Wasn't working for him. They changed things to put him in a position to succeed, and it worked. So they can get Mac Jones in a much better spot next year if they get the right guy.
You're going to have your 2023 draft guide for us this year. I know that's your time. You love all those props, all those, that's your time. So
draft season's my favorite, both NFL and NBA. What happened to a Chargers money line ticket can't happen to you with a draft ticket. There are no 27-0 comebacks. It's information based. The weirdest thing that I've seen was probably the Bankroll NBA stuff, where now we've seen a guy like Woj get lied to. Like, that's maybe I don't want to call it bad beat, but like misinformation from big names we're starting to see. But yeah, for the most part, it's just information based. Take your opinion out of it, and that's how we cash tickets. We almost had an opportunity to bet Ohio State to win it all yesterday. CJ Stroud took until the last day to declare for the draft. So him and Bryce, I know the Bears have the pick. I would be shocked if there isn't some type of movement. So the only thing I did get Bryce Young when he was even money to be the top pick. You got to lay some juice now, but I would be surprised one way or another if a team isn't moving up to one, or if the Bears aren't moving Fields or whatever they think they need to do. But I would be surprised if Bryce Young isn't the guy there. And, draft odds will come on the board, and we'll start to roll more and more with those.
I'm going to switch gears to the hardwood, the locals and Tatum. This irks the shit out of me. And then Tatum puts up a 51 last night. And of course, now I think he passed Larry or tied Larry for the 50-point games the most. Listen, I love Jason. I think he's a great ball player, but just don't insult me and compare him to Larry Bird. And that's just the old guy here talking here. I think he's got the talent. I think he's, got years and years and years of potential, whether it's in Boston, whether it's out west, wherever he finishes. But it's all about the banners, as you know, and the titles and stuff. Give us your update on the locals and the green team.
Yeah, I don't have too much of an update. Tatum's obviously fantastic. Maybe he can, Doncic and Jokic are the MVP favorites right now, and they should be. But maybe with Jaylen Brown out here, Tatum can pick up a little bit of ground and show, it would be a time for him to show, especially if you can beat Golden State on Thursday night, even though Golden State's been absolutely terrible on the road, to show that, he can pick up the slack and be an MVP candidate without a guy like Jaylen Brown, who, Denver and Dallas are obviously missing that second guy behind those guys, which helps them put up more, more of a stat line and kind of takes away from Tatum's MVP argument. So maybe he can do some of that. Although if Denver, Jokic has won that award with Denver finishing pretty far down in the standings. If Denver can get the 1 seed in the West and he keeps playing like he's playing, it gives him a good argument for 3 in a row. And we all know what Doncic is doing. But yeah, they went on a really good stretch when Brown was hurt last year. And I think that they're capable of doing that again, having other guys step up. And I think it's interesting to look at the props when Jaylen Brown is out, because, that is 36 minutes and a lot of shots, a lot of points, a lot of usage, a lot of opportunities off the board. I actually did play smart at plus money over 8.5 assists yesterday. He had 6 and it lost. I think it could set up some good opportunities in the future, because the 4 games without Brown prior to that, he was averaging 11.8 assists. He had at least double digits in all of them. He just gets a little more, he has the ball a little more on the perimeter. He's kind of like the second guy now without Tatum that's going to be handling the ball. And it was a weird game yesterday where you had a guy in Derek White had 8 assists. He only averages a few a game. Grant Williams had a career high 6 assists. If you kind of take a few of those away from those guys, Smart's there in double digits again. I think his assist prop is something to watch with Brown out, because Tatum points is too obvious now. Brown's out and he just scored 51. I don't know if you can go back to the Tatum points. So that's one of the props that I'll have my eye on.
We're 2 weeks away, Jules, from launching. The giddiness for the mass people. Let me backtrack here. Twitter last week, mass is going to be the strictest state when it comes to regulation, when it comes to advertising, when it comes to propaganda, you name it. And I'm not trying to, don't quote me on all this. A lot of people sent me this tweet and all this information. I have a couple thoughts on the reasons why, but I will not air them here with you and on this this show here. Being working for DraftKings, this is their home state. I think DraftKings was going to be the leader of Massachusetts. Seen some pie graphs where FanDuel was going to have more, and then there was one other one, and then you guys. Again, I'm not asking you to give us the playbook because we all know no one knows anything other than corporate. What's the feel for someone like yourself? 2 weeks away, we're launching. And is there any, can you tell the general public what to expect that aren't used to this?
The launch 2 weeks away is great. We, at what I keep hearing for DraftKings Sportsbook, mobile launch would be to have it ready by March Madness, but that will take efforts from people who aren't at DraftKings, so it's going to take multiple efforts from multiple parties. But if that works out, that would be super exciting. And when that happens, we will have the ability to have many more events locally because it is in our home state. The ability to have some watch parties, put together some events. And then I would imagine for those of you that don't have DraftKings Sportsbook, that haven't downloaded it and played in New Hampshire and Connecticut and New Jersey and all those places, if you're going to become a new customer, you're going to get some really great sign-up bonuses, free bets and whatnot to use with us, new user promos. I will say, I think it would be really cool because I think a lot of people have downloaded it and used it in New Hampshire, New Jersey, Connecticut. So what I do want to work on being here in Massachusetts is just getting something for Massachusetts users in general. Like, hey, you already have DraftKings Sportsbook, but we want to celebrate you being able to use it here in Massachusetts. So that's kind of my personal goal, to work on something like that for the large majority of you listening that are Massachusetts sports bettors that have it and won't be a new user, but will now be a more consistent Massachusetts user.
The playoffs are on Saturday and Sunday this week. Look into your crystal ball. I know there's no Thursday game. Any props, any parlays, any futures, any promos that you can throw the public a bone here?
Oh, man. Let's see. If we're we'll have promos. I don't think any are up. I'm getting on the tab right now. In terms of divisional weekend stuff. Last week we did have some promos available in the player prop market that I know did okay. Let's see. Oh, wow. All right. Nothing up for NFL. I'm gonna say this one because I know I played Kansas State plus 2.5 here on Super Tuesday, hosting the Kansas Jayhawks. Spread boost, 50% profit on either side of the spread. I would go opt into that right now. I didn't know that was there, and you now helped me find it. So thank you for making me look. There's the promo that I'll advertise right there. Too early for me on player props for next week. But that'll be something that I'll have an article out on for sure. My early idea is I really loved Elijah Mitchell against the Seahawks last week, and he had 9 carries in a blowout game. He had 2 yards on those 9 carries. Now, I saved myself because I also bet him anytime touchdown scorer with a Niners win, which was plus 400. The yardage one was embarrassing, though. It opened 33.5. It closed in the 40s. He landed on 2 with 9 carries against the bottom 3 run defense. I'm going to say that I won't be afraid of that. Everybody's going to be talking about McCaffrey after last game. Dallas run defense is nothing special. I'm curious what the Eli Mitchell rushing prop opens to, and I'll probably be stubborn and go back to it.
Crawler's been going the whole damn time, Jules. You can follow Julian at Julian Edlow, at DraftKings, at DK Sportsbook, at DK Live, and catches at Unreasonable Odds Podcast. Jules, always a pleasure. Look forward to communicating with you all week and weekend, and then we'll circle back here next Tuesday.
For sure. Sounds good, Jeff. Anytime.
All right. Thank you, Jules. Have a great week. The one and only Julian Edlow from DraftKings. All Massachusetts peeps, get ready. It's coming. And again, the DraftKings end of it won't be on the 31st. Their goal, obviously, is to be up and running for March Madness, which will be sometime in March, and obviously for first pitch in April for the MLB. Great follow, great friend. And as he said, if you guys have any questions, comments, concerns, you don't see anything there, just reach out to him. He will actually reply, and he will take it to his people, and he will try to get the prop or whatever you're looking for up there with some kind of odds, as I asked for the Jimmy G odds to get put up there. Busy day for ECSI today. At 1 o'clock, the debut with Pop DiBiase from LA. Great friend. We've been together for a long time, and it's time now to debut a little East meets West, a little Larry and Magic show there. 3:30, Ron will stay in LA. Ron at Ace Sports will be circling back the wagons. A week off in Vegas last week. We'll be talking some NFL, some strategies moving forward for the divisionals, for the semis, and then obviously the Super Bowl there. 4:30, closing bell with Southside Riley. As we get everyone caught up with today's action, get you ready for to go to the window today and cash some tickets. And at 9 p.m., myself and Brady Tinker at DFW Sports Beat. Sportsbook Confessions. Maybe, just maybe, our good and dear friend Dave Sharapan at Sportsbook Consigliere will be joining us then. ECSI VIPs have been in fuego. 3-1 on Saturday, 3-0 on Sunday. We hit 2 parlays, plus 438, plus 708 last night, 3-0. And our pizza and beer money, Tampa money line came in as well. If you have any questions about trying to become an ECSI VIP, send me an email at eastcoastsportsinvestors@gmail.com or just DM me at EC Sports Invest on Twitter. So you guys were great. Thank you so much. Have a great morning, and we will be back at 1 o'clock.